Okay, for this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and determine what scale the drawing needs to be. We're going to set up our border and title block, make sure it's situated correctly, and maybe get to symbols in this tutorial. I'm not sure if we'll get to the end of it or not. But okay, so let's determine the scale. And if you have set up your title block on the paper space tab, then this should be fairly simple. And just go to your paper space and make sure you double click inside this layout. This is going to be your oh, what's it called? Viewport. So this is your viewport, and make sure this line is bold. That means you're inside it. And then go over here and change the scale. And we're going to zoom extents here to get us in the area. Now we can go change the scale. 100. Apparently, let's center on our property area here and change the scale. There we go. Okay, and if you'll notice, for some reason, some of our stuff is not showing up. The property line's not showing up, the fence, the road's not showing up. And that has to do with what layers are turned on and turned off. So in this drawing, our layers for the new viewport are not showing. If you see here, this says it's on, this says it's thawed, and then this is about the viewport itself. It has a square around it. So if I turn it on, it'll thaw out that layer, right? So there's my fence. And you can do this quickly by going to the layer properties layer properties menu, and this column right here is VP, and this is talking about your current viewport. And see, this was the new viewport. So we had it set so every time there's a new viewport, these certain layers would not show up. So I'm going to right click in any of the white space here and say select all. And then I'm going to turn one of these that's off. I'm going to click it to turn it on. And the same thing in the current viewport. So any new viewports will show up on, and the current viewport will show it on and thawed. Okay, so now everything, all the layers are showing up in that drawing. Now I can go over here, change my scale. And 1 to 200 looks like it will probably work. For mine anyway, which it should work for yours as well. And remember, if your window, let's double click outside of it. Don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, I wasn't hitting escape. I thought I was. Okay. I had something selected inside that window. That's why it wouldn't let me. So hit escape. And now see, I'm no longer working inside that window when I zoom in and out. It's not bold. It's not going to affect anything. But just remember that if this window is small, it's not going to all fit on there. So you may have to adjust the size of this window to be able to view everything that you want to see. Okay? And you can do that now or later. You can select it and hit M at the command line, enter, and move that box to a different location. And I also want to turn this off. I don't want to see this viewport frame. Once you get it figured out where you want it, you don't want to see it show up in your plat. So you can access viewport options by typing mview at the command line, hit enter, and now you can turn the viewport on or off. You can lock it so that when you're inside of it, if you zoom in or out, it won't change your scale. You can do other things that you want it to do, but I'm going to, I thought I could turn it off, the frame here, but that must be a different command. I'm going to lock it. So I'm going to take L for lock, and I'm going to say ON for on. So now it's asking which object. You select it, and you right click to end the selection process. And now I've double clicked on inside of it, but when I zoom in and out, it will not change the scale. It just zooms in the whole sheet. Okay, and this is more important for older versions. In this version of AutoCAD, you can simply change the scale right here, but in older versions, that's not there. So you'd have to rescale it over again, and it's much more difficult process in the older version. So that's very handy. But what you can do is I select that layer, and I can see here that that is on layer 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose layer 0, and I'm going to say don't print layer 0. So that outer border will not print on layer 0. What's inside of it will, but that actual border of that viewport will not. At least I'm hoping. That's the way it has worked for me in the past, so I'm hoping that's the way it'll work for me again. Okay, so we kind of have that set up, and we'll work on filling out everything in the border and title block in a little bit, but right now I just wanted you to get the scale set because we're about to start annotating and dimensioning, and I want to make sure that you know what scale we're at. So we're at 1/200. That way we know what size to put everything at. And again, it kind of helps that we've made all of our annotation settings to be kind of dependent on the annotation scale, so it'll work out well. But if you did not, then you'd have to know your scale in advance to make sure everything's the right size. Okay, so I'm going to move back over to model space and work in model space again. And this time I'm going to start inserting some symbols. And I said that we need to insert symbols for the property corners and also controlling corners. And what I mean by controlling corners is there's a statute that says that our plat must show all controlling corners. And controlling corners mean which corners do you need to know, which section corners do you need to know in order to plot out this property or to find this property's corners. And because our property starts at this corner, there are many corners that are needed. We had to subdivide the section to get that corner. So this north quarter corner was needed, the south quarter corner was needed, the west quarter corner and the east quarter corner were all needed. And we also need the southwest quarter corner. And we needed all those. Those are all of our controlling corners. So this one has 5 because the point of beginning is at this one, this northwest corner of this seesaw. We needed all those 5 corners to know where it was. So we need to put a symbol at each of those. Okay, so if you have your template drawing set up correctly, then you should be able to just go to your design center, select open drawing, and select blocks. And they should all be loaded in there as all the symbols that you need for your drawing. So I'm going to start at the north quarter corner here. And I'm going to right click on the stone, bound stone, insert block, specify on screen, and I'm going to place it right there on that point. And the scale is going to be, it's going to be 1/10 of our drawing scale. Drawing scale is 200, so I'm going to put it in at 20. And I'm going to, I've already messed up. I put it on the wrong layer. So I'm going to undo, change my layer to the dim layer, DIM. And I'm going to change this to 1/200. And I'm going to go ahead and try this again. right click, insert block. I want to specify my insertion point on screen, and I want to specify the scale on screen. Select the point, scale is 20, and now we can go on to the next one. Found 3/8 inch iron pin. Found pins are just the circle, insert block, specify on screen, select the point, type 20 at the command line, and go on to the next one. We just found a 4-inch brass cap monument, so that's a triangle. Right click, insert block, specify on screen, select the point, 20 scale, and let's move on to the next one. Same thing, brass cap, insert block, specify the scale 20, and move on to the next one. This one is a found stone. So I'm going to find the square, right click, insert block, specify on screen, hit OK, select the point, 20 scale, and you're done with the section corners. Okay, now let's put in symbols for the property corners. And all of these, they set every pin. They found nothing there. So we are going to set pins, and again, this is SPT5 as a filled-in circle. So we're going to insert this at every corner. Can't do it that way. I want to make sure I get the right point number. So I'm going to move my point numbers around so I make sure that I'm actually putting it on the correct point number. I don't want to put it on the control point. I want to put it on the actual set pin. So let's try this again. Right click, insert block, specify on screen, hit OK, and we want to make sure it's the 100 point. Okay, apparently you're going to have to zoom all the way in and make sure you get the right point number. And you can tell because the control point is right on the corner, and the set pin will not be right on the corner. We're going to make the scale 20, and now let's zoom back out. Okay, that's one thing I don't like about civil. In Carlson, if you hover over the point description, it will place it on that point number, but it won't do that in civil. You have to actually find the correct node. Alright, so let's get this straightened out a little bit too, so we make sure that we get the right point number. Okay. Right click, insert block, specify on screen, and now if I hover over the point number, it'll place it. And factor is 20. Go back to this one. Make sure get everything kind of cleared out. SPT5, right click, insert block, specify on screen, place it on 102, scale factor is 20, move to the next corner. This one's going to be 103. Right click, insert block, specify on screen, OK, left click on 103, scale factor 20, and move on to the next one. Last one, let's make sure we've got it cleaned out here to get the correct point. 104. Right click, insert block, specify on screen, hover over 104, factors 20, and you're done.